Hey guys, welcome back. Today is day 12, I believe. We are currently journeying through our journey. Yes, we are doing that. We're going through our journey through the truth, and today I want to talk about being still. So, oftentimes, what I see very often, and what I've come to understand, even in my own life, before finding God and understanding who He requires of me, I would find myself, and I found other people to be very how would I say it? Antsy. They couldn't stay still, and neither could I. To be honest, like I always wanted to be as productive as I could, wanted to get as much as I could done, wanted to be um, always moving because it felt like if I didn't move, I was doing something wrong. And don't get me wrong, I'm not. This isn't going in the direction of saying like don't be productive. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is that sometimes I think we are doing too much. I think that's the case for many people. It was the case for me. Honestly, it became an obsession with being in active movement, so much so that I oftentimes did too much. That I couldn't just stay still, sit, and enjoy the moment. Like people say, can't even count to 10 in their head while being silent in a silent room. They have to always be moving, always have to be scrolling or have to be doing something. And don't get me wrong, I was like that too. Very rarely was I someone to want to sit in peace, wants to sit in, silence, right? Because that silence wasn't peace. Um, in that silence, I found boredom, and at the end of the day, it just wasn't very fun. It wasn't. It was very miserable. Having to be silent, I couldn't just sit there and just like take it all in. And to be fair, that's it's not easy. It really isn't because you oftentimes feel like if you're not moving, you're not doing something right because you're wasting time. And yes, don't get me wrong, we have a limited time on Earth, right? We have a limited time that we're alive. We have a limited time to do things, to enjoy things, and we should try to make the most of our life. But sometimes, in the search of trying to find things to fulfill or to fill that time, we end up doing things we shouldn't do because we kind of run out of options. Like once we kind of check off the list, we just kind of start throwing things out there, anything and everything that can take up that time. And it kind of sucks because you want to be able to do things that are productive and that help you grow, right? But I think people today lack the ability to just stay still and actually take it all in. Just kind of sit there, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes, and just kind of sit there. Because I think it's what happens oftentimes, or at least what happened with me, would be that I was always in movement. I couldn't stay by myself. I couldn't be alone for more than 5 minutes. Honestly, like I had to be doing something to keep my mind moving because if not, I got bored. And that boredom, with that boredom came, a little bit of despair. Honestly, if I wasn't doing something, I couldn't do something, and I kind of ran out of things to do, I would just kind of freak out because like I just couldn't stay still. And if you look at it that way, it's just like it's sad. It's sad to think that I couldn't even stay still. Um, but what I did come to learn recently, as I was thinking, I figured this out for a couple weeks now, but well, I was thinking of today's message of what it could be, right? And I was thinking like I was just looking through the connections I've made thus far, and as I was looking through them, I looked at my fifth most recent one, that connection I made, and it was speaking of being still. Actually, I can probably read it out. Um, let's see. So the connection was tested in stillness. I'm gonna go ahead and read it out. It says this: the mind had been racing for days, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. It was all in motion. Then suddenly, stillness. Not sadness, not despair, just quiet. A strange absence of movement that stirred an honest question. Why now? But this time, the response didn't come from fear, it came from faith. The heart turned to the Lord not to escape the silence, but to understand it. Because this stillness did not feel like abandonment. It felt like a pause. And in that pause came recognition this was the test. Not a trial by fire, but by quiet. Not a test of endurance, but of alignment. Were the words just spoken about about trust and about surrender truly lived or just understood? What had been shared was clear. That trusting God meant letting go of the need to numb. That seeking the truth wasn't about control, but about surrender. That peace doesn't always follow clarity. It follows faith. Now came the test. Would that truth hold when the energy faded, and when the path seemed unclear, when there was nothing to do, and the answer began to form in silence? Yes. Stillness isn't stagnation. Waiting isn't wasting. This was not a delay, it was a preparation. A moment to be still and know that He is God. A moment where silence confirms what noise often hides. The Lord is near, even when nothing moves. And deeper still, a truth surfaced, one that only could arise in quiet. God wasn't testing to expose failure, He was testing to reveal growth, to prove that the heart had changed, that the words spoken were not hollow, that surrender was real. Even now the doubts come, but they don't hold weight. Why? Because peace has already taken root, and when peace leads the way, the silence becomes sacred, the unknown becomes holy, and obedience becomes worship. This isn't the absence of God, it's the invitation to walk with Him when nothing else makes a sound. And the verse that I connected a couple of verses with that, but the verse that really stood out to me was Psalm 46, verse 10, I believe it is, and this is out of the New King James Version, by the way. It says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth." And I feel like that's a verse that people have heard quite a few times. Some of them, obviously. If you haven't heard it, I like that verse quite a lot, because people will look at that verse and misinterpret it very easily. If you read it literally, it says, "Be still and know that I am God." So, why is it that this kind of contradicts what's asked of us in Jeremiah 29:13, which is if I can look here, it's where it speaks of searching for God's heart or searching for God with all your heart, and that this way you will find Him. Let me find it real quick. I'll just look through it real quick. Here we go. So 29, Anyway, chapter 29, verse 13 says, right here is right here. "And you will seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart." So it's interesting that God has this at first seemingly contradictory word. Like he asks us to be still, but then He asks us to also seek. So what could God be asking, right? And I've already made this connection beforehand. That's when I made the connection actually, like maybe 5-6 days, no, more, 8-9 days ago. I think it was after a video I actually made. Might have been like the fifth video. But after that video, what happened was actually I was just I finished the video. I was done with everything for the day, and I was kind of like, man, what do I do? Like I felt kind of like lost. I didn't know what to do next. But what I figured was, the idea was, I'm sorry. Why is it that I feel this not emptiness, but it felt very quiet. It felt very still, and I couldn't quite understand why, because it had been a rush of emotions for the past 20 days beforehand, and I was just making new connection after new connection, understanding new things, and all of a sudden, quiet. Nothing. No noise. But there wasn't any despair either. What I came to realize, though, was God was testing me to see if the words I spoke of, to not look to always understand that which is not understood, to trust in the Lord, especially when you don't understand things. In that moment, the silence that I didn't understand the first thing I did was go to the Lord, and in that sense I passed the test. I went to the Lord and I was like, Lord, I do not know why it is quiet. Do not know why it is very still right now. It's very emotionless at the moment, but I know that my faith is not fake. I know that my faith is real. That I'm living in your truth, and for that reason, I'm going to be at peace, knowing that this moment is for me to be quiet. This moment is for me to be still, to just kind of take it all in. And I think that oftentimes what happens will be, because we have so many worries and anxieties and concerns, because we feel like time is always against us, that there isn't enough time in the day to do everything we need to do, that we get desperate. We try to do everything and anything we can to take up the time, because if we just don't do anything, it feels like it's wasted. But yet God Himself calls us to be still, despite asking us to seek Him, right? But this isn't necessarily a literal physical thing. This isn't necessarily, don't do it. It's not God telling you to not do anything. It is God telling you to calm your mind. Stop thinking so much. Stop worrying so much. Because worrying brings nothing. Be still is essentially like God's way of telling us, stop worrying. Stop thinking so much about that which you don't know. Because it will bring nothing, right? It will bring all this worrying concerns, this overthinking, it will bring absolutely nothing. Only more despair, more worry, more concern, right? And that harbors doubt. So God asks us to be still, to stop, look at everything we're doing right now, to look at what we're thinking right now, what we're worried about, and to just say, you know what? I'm gonna let that go. I'm gonna let that go. I'm gonna put it in God's hands, because I don't know what it is or how it's gonna turn out or what I should do about this. But I'm going to ask God for direction, and I know that He's going to take me down the right path, right? And it's basically in Psalm chapter 2 verse 2, or chapter 2 verse 12. It says, "Blessed are those who put their trust in Him," right? In chapter 1 verse 6 it says as well, "But the Lord knows the way of the righteous." In chapter 5 verse 8 says, "Lead me, O Lord, in your righteousness because of my enemies. Make your way straight before my face," which is David's way of saying, God, show me your path. God, show me your way. You said, "Blessed are those who put their trust in you." You said that you know the path of the righteous, so I will be putting my path, or I'll be putting I'll be surrendering my will to you. I'll be waiting. I will be still. I will not worry about that which is out of my control, and I'm giving it to you. Lord, guide me. And that's the biggest thing. That's the best thing you can do for yourself. Letting the Lord guide you. Yes, that takes a tremendous amount of faith. But if you are able to do it, which I know everyone can do it if they just look to God and ask for His help. If you are able to let go of it completely, right, and just not worry about it, put it in God's hands and know that it will all turn out okay. Do that, and I can guarantee you will be at peace. You will be so calm, because then you will be just in the present moment. You won't be looking down the future. You won't be worrying about what has happened already. You'll just be in the moment. And in the moment, it's silent. In the moment, you don't hear much. If you just take everything that's happening in your current moment, like you can sit, like right now, wherever you're doing, literally sit, stop for a second, and just kind of look around. Acknowledge everything around you, and just kind of take it all in. And yes, it might not be easy, but just do it. Just don't say anything. Pause for a second. Look around. That's what it feels like. Calm. Peace. The mind stops rushing. It's quiet. But not quiet out of despair. A quiet. and it just completely calms you so much. It gives you so much peace. And that's what God means by be still. Live in the present moment. Stop walking forward or walking backwards when you're not supposed to. Live in the now. Stop taking that second step before you take that first step. You can't do it one before the other. Just live now. Don't worry about the second step. Worry about your now. Worry about the step you're about to take. Calm down. Listen. Be quiet. And that's what God asks us to do. To give everything that is not in our control, that we don't know of, and even everything we're in control, give it to Him. Surrender your will completely to the Lord. And that does not mean, oh, so I don't have a choice in anything anymore. No, you actually have a choice to make, and this is the choice to make. If you surrender your will to God, that doesn't mean to stop doing things, right? It means to continue to do things without worrying about what is to come. Now, if you know something is bad, if you know something is not bringing you any good, then yes, that is on you to stop, right? But you know that. You know what you people know very well what certain things can bring to them, right? They've heard it all the time. And yes, sometimes you have to suffer in order to learn. But at the same time, if you know what you're doing is working towards something beneficial, whether it be working out, or having a job, or learning, or whatever, if you know it's beneficial, then keep doing it. Now, if you're doing something that's wasting your time, that's harming you more than it's helping you, then stop, right? Just trust God. Keep working, but trust God, and the results will come from God, right? The results will not come from your own work. It will come from what God brings for you. And know that opportunities will come down the line for you to take, but you will know when it is time to take them, because God will make that very clear for you, right? And even if it's not clear, I can guarantee you will take a step, sometimes maybe without even realizing it, and eventually you'll end up in a new spot. And I'm very confident that God will show you what needs to be done when it needs to be done, but you have to be willing to surrender your will to Him, because sometimes we are moving around so much, we are so distracted, there's so much noise, because we're thinking of the future, we're thinking of the past, we're thinking not even in the now, we're thinking of everyone around us, we're thinking of the moment, having fun, being distracted, that all that quiet, all that noise, all that sound blocks out God. God's voice is heard when things are quiet. He doesn't speak to us in a loud manner. He speaks to us in a very clear, calm, and loving manner. But if everything around you distracts you, if everything around you is way louder than what and or too loud for you to even hold yourself back for a moment and listen, then you won't hear God, right? Which is why it is so important to know that when God asks you to be still, it literally means stop worrying, stop distracting yourself. Don't let all the noise block out my voice. Because if you do that, you're going to continue in the same cycle, you're going to continue down the same path, and those worries, concerns, and doubts are only going to get louder. Once you can fully release them to God, give them to God, pray to God, tell God, it's in your hands, there's nothing I can do about it, and accept that, things quiet down. The noise eventually fades away, and you're left in silence. Not from despair, because God can speak to you in the silence. Not when it's all loud, not when it's, noisy. In the quiet, calm moments, God will speak to you. God will let you know. Because in those moments is when you can hear your thoughts. When you can clearly think your thoughts clearly and be like, okay, this is where things are right now. What do I do? And then once things are quiet, God starts speaking to you. Maybe you don't actually physically hear a voice, but the things you start thinking, if you put it in God's will, He will show you with time. And if you still can't figure it out, continue to put it in God's will, because He will show you in time. So, that's basically today's message. Um, thank you guys for listening. But yeah, no, like I said, be still, be calm, be peaceful. We want peace so much, but yet we're always moving. How can one expect the water to be still when there's always movement in it, right? In peace, in stillness, there is peace. In the noise, in the waves, there's distraction. And sometimes those waves get really, really rowdy, and that brings despair. So, be still, don't move, give it to God, and He will make you see clearly through the water, because there is stillness. Thank you guys for watching today. I hope you guys have a great, great day. Stay blessed. If you have any questions, as per usual, just hit me up on Instagram at Nicholas Cahal. And yeah, I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow for the new video. I'm finally sort of on schedule for videos. That took me a minute, but yeah, I finally figured out, or not figured out, but got back on schedule. So yeah, guys, I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and yeah, take care. Peace.